Hey guys, Jay at Broader Performance here. I get a lot of questions on this do-it-yourself Transbrake kit, and I've just wanted to go over a few things that seem to come up often, hopefully help you out and maybe even help you make a decision as to whether you want to do this or not. The cores have become hard to get, and if you happen to have a core, this saves you some money if you don't mind doing the labor. We will be coming out with all brand new ones soon. Of course, that's going to cost more money than just a kit, but we'll do what we can here. Anyways, so let's just kind of go over this quickly now. The first thing and the first problem everybody seems to run into before you even start anything, I want you to look at this piece here. Okay, this is the original channel casting, and most importantly, you see this here, there's a spring and a little valve that goes in here, and it's held in by a tab from the filter. This must be here. I don't care about the spring of the valve, but it must be this style. There's another style, and I apologize, I don't have one to show you right now. Oh, it's relocated over here or something, and it's got a roll pin that holds the spring in place. This one's held in by this filter tab, so when you remove the filter, this spring and puck falls out on you. So most importantly, before you even buy this thing, please look at this. Make sure your core is this style. If it's not, kit's not going to work. I may make a kit for that at some point, but there's not a lot of those valve bodies out there, so I don't know if I want to spend the time and money on that. And it's the thing, it's just better just to make the whole thing brand new, if I'm going to spend the time. So anyways, so let's get over to this. Now I'm going to stress this. I ask you to make some cutouts in here. I did this on a milling machine because I have a milling machine. If you don't, it's okay. I don't care what these cutouts look like. You can use a little Dremel tool or a little die grinder. Doesn't have to be pretty, just has to be in the right spot. The width, the depth, all that, not real critical. All we're doing is creating an oil bypass. And you don't want to go super light on it. And what I mean by light is just very little tiny slot passage where the oil kind of has trouble going through. You wanna make it pretty decent, pretty decent size, but you don't got to go crazy either. So these two ports here I've cut, and then you have one down here. Okay, that gets cut, and then here is where people seem to have a little bit of trouble. So basically, this cut here you're going to make all the time. Now, these instructions in this kit work for just a traditional reverse manual valve body with engine braking. Both of these have engine braking in all gears, by the way. But this cutout is always made, and if it's just a reverse manual, you are not going to do these other two cuts. Very important. Do not do these if it's reverse manual without Transbrake. If you do have the Transbrake, then it's very important to make these two cuts in addition to this cut. So we want all three of these cut if it's a Transbrake. I'm doing a Transbrake here. So, and that's it. That's all you got to do there. Now I ask you to drill some holes, so let's flip this over. So you have a hole here, and these hole sizes aren't real critical. I like to use a 93 thousandths drill. I think that's about right. You can go a little smaller, a little bigger. Really no need to go bigger. You can, just depending, maybe you have a kit that doesn't have a lot of sizes, so you can improvise a bit on this. Not real critical. If you try to make them too big, it just kind of bites into the casting and the bores, and it could cause the valves to stick. So one hole here, and then one hole here, and then one hole here, and then another one up here. And the locations, of course, are critical as to which slot you're actually drilling through, but this is what it looks like on the other side. I typically drill the holes from the opposite end, and the instructions show that to you. And we do have a customer that did a really good job. He made a YouTube video on this. He bought the kit and basically kind of did what I'm doing here and probably did a better job than me. My camera skills are pretty weak and I don't know how to edit or do anything. I just kind of one take this and go for it. So you may want to, I'm going to see if I can find that again and put that link in here. You can check his out, and he's got a pretty cool little YouTube channel too you may want to check out, and it's got some interesting stuff on there. So I'll try to do that in the future here. Anyways, so that's basically the modifications you got to do. So other things I want to point out. This is a little confusing to people. So some of these, most of them didn't have this slot here at the top. This particular one is an earlier one, and it does have the slot. Most of them had a slot on this side and a clip that goes in there, just a metal clip. But this is the earlier one. So, and what I tell you to do in the instructions, and I don't provide the tap because most of the time you don't need it, but it does require an 1/8 inch pipe tap, and this valve is going to go in here, and it's a little, it wants to fight me a little bit because I tapped the hole, so I'm just gonna tap on it a little bit. There we go. So that's going to go in, make sure that goes in all the way. Doesn't matter if it's sticking in that bore, we don't care. And then this little pipe plug, this is going to thread in. And you don't have to do this to all of them. Most of them don't have it. And I'm having a hard time doing this one-handed, but there we go. So you're basically just going to put that in, and you're just going to tighten this up. And I apologize, I can't do all this with one hand, but anyways, so all that's doing, if you want to understand this, you're just making this valve so it's all the way into the bore and cannot stroke. We're just disabling it. That's all we're doing there. Your pressure regulator, pretty simple. Don't have to really do much there. So you get this spring in the kit. It's a heavy gauge silver spring. And the original outer spring, I tell you, you can leave it long. You can not put it in at all or cut it. I've chosen to cut it for this application. That's just going to give you different pressures, and the instructions explain that. So you get some steel balls in the kit, and then you also get one plastic ball, which is this one here, and this one's just going to go. You get this plate with the kit. That's just going to go in that little bathtub there, if you will. So just put that little plastic ball in there. That's just a little shuttle valve, and then your separator plate's going to go over that. Now, also, I want to point out on the separator plate, there's a small hole here, just a little 32 thou, 40 thou hole. Make sure we did drill it, and because that doesn't get done on the CNC machine. That's done afterwards by hand because it's such a small hole. So just make sure we did drill this hole, and make sure it's clear. It's a very small hole. If you ever have any pressure regulation problems, it could be that hole gets plugged up. And this is not true with just this kit. It's true with any C4 valve body, whether it's stock or got modifications or it's a manual of some sort or whatever it is. They all have this little hole for the pressure regulator. And if this gets stopped up with a little piece of debris, basically what happens is the line pressure goes crazy high. It can't stroke the pressure regulator valve. So just, look for that. Make sure it's clear. Just something to check. So I would say the most important thing is going to be, this is your 2-3 and 1-2 shift valves. These go back in stock, but what you want to make sure is that they stroke in and out of the bore freely. These two valves do still operate, and it's important that they operate smoothly. If there's sticking in the bore or any problems moving them in and out, you're going to need to address that issue. And if you're not sure how to deal with valves that stick, I probably need to do another video on that. That's a whole nother topic. But this one here, so we give you a 7/32 diameter ball. There's a spring here typically. I don't care if you put this spring back in or not. It doesn't really matter, honestly. And this valve here, it's cutback valve. Sometimes if it had been, modified before, sometimes they'll put a spring here or they'll put a ball here. That's fine if it had that. Just go ahead and put it back in. But you don't really need that anymore. But just put the valve back in the bore. Doesn't matter if it's sticking or not. It's not really going to stroke, but it does need to be in there. So this one here, there's a 1/4 inch ball in the kit, and that's going to go here. This just stops this valve from stroking. That's all that ball does. It doesn't, if you have trouble getting this one in the bore, like I just showed you on the other one, doesn't matter, because we're making it not stroke anyways with that 1/4 inch steel ball. So, and make sure you put the steel ball there, not the plastic one, and the plastic one goes in the channel plate like I showed you before. So this one here, this is the smallest steel check ball. That's just going to stop this valve from stroking. So these are just some things I wanted to point out on the kit that my customer maybe didn't go over, but he doesn't get the questions that I do. So I'm just going over this stuff and hope this helps you and also helps you make a decision on whether you want to do this or not. And honestly, it's really simple. And again, some guys get carried away with, these slots have to be really, precise and look nice. And I don't care what they look like. Size isn't all that precise. All we're doing, we're just cutting through the wall so the fluid can just transfer from here to here. That's all this is. The oil doesn't really care how pretty your slot is. It's just not important. I have to make it pretty when I make one, just because I don't want you guys to think I'm a hack. But in reality, it really doesn't matter. And even these done on the milling machine, they're not perfect. I don't worry about it. I don't even measure how deep they are or anything. I just kind of know, and it's just kind of fine. So don't obsess over that. That's the hardest thing about the kit, honestly, and it's not even that hard. Just make sure you put them in the right place. And number one, like I said before, make sure this is the valve body you're working with. This will not work in the wrong style core. So, and if you don't have the right core, you're going to need to get it. Unless I do a kit for that old one, I don't know if I will. But anyways, hope this kind of helps you out. And if there are other things I didn't address, leave it in the comments. Maybe I'll do another video on it. Maybe I'll do a better quality video on it without the camera bouncing around and all that kind of thing. So thanks for bearing with me on this. And this kit works really well. And we've had it for, this design I've had for about, 17, 18 years or so, and it's a proven design. There's a lot of them out there, whether I built them or people built them themselves, and it's a good product. I think it's a very unique product. I haven't seen anybody, there's a lot of valve body kits and things, but I haven't seen a do-it-yourself Transbrake before. And this one, you can do at home. Again, no milling machine, no fancy tools. You just need a Dremel tool or die grinder of some sort, and an electric drill. And that's it. That's all you need. And patience, that's the most important thing you need. So anyways, I'm going to end this here. And again, if I miss something, let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll redo this video, a better version of it at some point. Thanks.